Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Ultimate Wolverine #1 by Marvel Comics. This just came out last month or so, and so we're going to give it a go. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color comic book that I produce every month, and you can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, and they're only $3 a month. Or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, which also has Mutandus and The Forlorn and all kinds of other side projects that I've done over my comic book making career. But the easiest way is the Patreon, which is also helps support the channel as well. And I'm thinking about having some videos on there that are just for patrons, and we'll definitely check some different stuff out. But that's my spiel, and thank you for listening to it or fast forwarding it. If you fast forwarded, I totally understand. You've probably heard it a million times before. So anyway, Ultimate Wolverine #1. So reviewing new comics for me takes care of a couple of things that I've been wanting to do over this the lifetime of the channel, and which is a lot of you guys are either a similar age to me in the 50s range, and you harken back to collecting comics in the 80s and 90s and 70s and stuff like that, and we all have kind of a similar experiences, and a lot of us have left the mainstream comic books aside, and we're looking at indie stuff and stuff like that, as we should. But I think all of us kind of have this longing for Marvel and DC comic books, and trying to maybe reconnect with some of the stuff that's going on there. And I often do. I mean, I often go to my LCS and pick up stuff, but it's usually like a graphic novel or dollar bin stuff that is from the 80s and 90s, and it's not new stuff. The new stuff is just too expensive, so you're going to have to cherry pick what you're going to check out, and that's really what I want to help. If you guys decide to go to your LCS and you look at the Ultimate Wolverine and you're like, should I get this or shouldn't I? Or that Absolute Batman or something like that. I want you to kind of know that I'm here, and I'll let you know if I like it, and maybe if I think that you guys will like it. So also, if there's any recommendations for new comics that you guys have, or if there's something that you'd like me to cover, maybe some of the other Absolute stuff, or some of the Main Street titles, like you don't know what's going on in the Avengers or whatever, and you'd like to just kind of, you're just wondering what's going on, what's new, and so I could check that out for you, and I would definitely be into that. That would be cool. So I'm also doing this because I want to tip my toe back into getting modern comics, and because even though I'm an old dude, I kind of want to see what's new and fresh out there, and I love comic books, and I don't want them to go away. And if we don't support the LCSs and comics in general, then the LCSs are going to disappear, and which we've probably already seen, and which the whole atmosphere right now with Diamond filing Chapter 11, and I'm talking to my LCS owner, and he was saying it's not if, or it's when Diamond is going to completely fold. So that's when all of your indie comics are going to be extremely hard to find. You're not going to be able to pop into the LCS and pick it up. You'll still be able to get Marvel and DC, but who wants a comic book store with just Marvel and DC? I think that would be a little bit of a stale place. So just to let you know that my Fridays are going to be modern comics. And like I said, if you have any recommendations or stuff you'd like me to look at, please let me know. So Ultimate Wolverine #1. So I'm not a huge fan of Elseworlds things. That's funny considering that I also picked up a what if of what if Rogue had been turned into a by Galactus, like the Silver Surfer, who is I can't remember what the name of it is, but a herald. What if Rogue was turned into a herald? And I just saw it. I didn't know it was out there, and I had it. I had to get it because Rogue's my favorite female comic book character, so I just wanted to get it, and I'll be checking that out. I don't know if I'll be checking it out on the channel, but if you guys would like to be to go over that, then let me know, because I'm kind of torn on whether to keep going on this X-Men stuff or check out other comics and other characters from different companies and stuff. So I'm not a huge fan of this Alts world. What ifs are a little bit different because it's kind of like a consistent thing of what if this thing would happen, what if this thing happened. But the Ultimates is a completely different universe, and it's like what had its own thing and its own real thing. And I kind of knew, just like the new universe, that there really isn't room always for an alternate universe and a regular universe title. So even if this Ultimate Wolverine is fantastic, it's not going to last forever, or even as long as regular Wolverine, because as much as people like this different kind of new stuff, they're always going to go back to the old tried and true things that they loved. This new Wolverine costume, it's not going to last forever. But anyway, I didn't really love the Age of Apocalypse or No More Mutants, that kind of stuff. So when they change realities and change worlds, I like it for a little bit, like the two-parter that Chris Claremont did, where New York City or the world is turned into a Conan-like universe. I loved that. It was 2 issues and it was done, and it had its run. It was done. It was cool. I loved it, and then it went on to the next thing. That's what I wish they would do with these alternate universe things, is that they would just either have it like a what if, every issue is a different alternate reality or something, or I don't know. But these, super long runs or whole universes created that are just eventually going to wither away and go away, and then what do you have? I mean, where does it fit into the universe of comic books? Are they less collectible? Are they more collectible? I don't know. I'm going to read this. And that's going to, since this is issue 1, they do an introduction of what happens. This is a completely reimagining of the Ultimate Wolverine Ultimate Universe. I think this is the first one. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the first of the new relaunch of the Ultimate Universe. But so we'll see. I mean, they just destroyed the last Ultimate Universe. Why would they create a completely new one? But excuse me. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains. The Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. The Eurasian Republic, ruled with an iron fist by the ruthless triad of Pietro Rasputin, Colossus, his sister Ilyana Rasputin, Magic, and Arkady Rashkovich, Omega Red, has become one of the 2 places in the world for all known mutant activity. The trio have created Directorate X, a secret division of the government that seeks to exploit the unique genetic powers exhibited in mutant kind, headed by Dr. Ilyana Prosovich. But no power exists without its checks and balances. A covert group called the Opposition arose to free mutants from experimentation and Republic control. So this seems like it's pretty straightforward, and like you shouldn't be confused whatsoever. But later on, as we go through this, we'll kind of find that there is a little bit of confusion, which I guess is not too bad. It's written by Chris Condon, artist Alessandro Cappuccino, and all this other stuff. Different cover artist, varied cover artist, designer, assistant editor, blah blah blah. All these people. I guess the colorist is Brian Valencia, and I'm saying that specifically because the colorist does a lot of work in making this art truly pop. I think he's a good artist, but he's got the same complaint that I have with all of these new artists, is that they have no real style. I mean, they have style. They're good. They're obviously good. I was thinking about this a lot before I was reading this, and when I was looking at the Batman, Absolute Batman, and all of the other new comics, is that everything is so flowing and so professional looking, and it's good. Everything has a baseline of really good comic book art, but it doesn't have any of the distinctive flavors that you used to have. You do. Where's the Todd McFarlane in his fancy, little flicks of the brush or whatever? Where's Jim Lee and his way he creates his body types, and just all of the black spotting and all of this stuff. Where are these different artists? Why aren't they developing into different styles? It just seems like all of these styles are so so redundant. But at the same time, like I said, they're very good. They're very good at being redundant. Like, they know their art. They know their art. They know their shadows. They know their light sources. They know the panel layout. These are people that have gone through art school for the most part, I think, and they know their craft, and so they're really good artists. But at the same time, there's some little weird little quirk that I want from a really good different comic artist, some kind of weird style. I just want to see something different at this point. And next time I go to the comic store, I'm going to peruse all of the comics, because I've been the last couple times I've wanted to just get the Batman Absolute and this and a couple other things to check out the characters and what they're doing. But I really kind of want to dig into the artists, and we'll definitely get into that. So it starts out on an airplane, and they're flying somewhere, and these two soldiers are they're talking about him, Wolverine, and they're saying, you think you can hear us? Why don't you ask? I'm not asking him nothing. Creeps me out. So he's already being set up as this badass kind of character. He's got a mask over his face. Now the iconic mutton chops, or even the iconic mask that is covered on the side covering his mutton chops, is gone. And I don't know. Am I going to get the second issue? I'll definitely have to think about that, because, as I said, I'm not really into this whole different universe kind of thing, unless it really truly grabs me. The Ultimates really truly grabbed me. I was really hesitant to get into the Ultimates but then a friend of mine let me borrow. I think he let me borrow a couple issues of his Ultimates thing, and it had the Hulk chasing whoever it was, saying Freddie Prinze Jr., and it had Captain America pretty much doing this same kind of thing, and it just was a fantastic read, written by Mark Millar. I think it was Millar book that did the Ultimates, and it was just so well written, and it was obviously nicely drawn too, but it really hooked me. And after reading this, I'm not completely hooked, so I'm going to have to think about whether or not I'm going to get another issue. So Wolverine stands up, and the dude's like, whoa, don't, I didn't, so he's all nervous, thinking that he offended him, and he just opens up the back hatch, and they're like, oh, what's he doing? And he jumps out of the plane, and like a missile. And so then it cuts to another scene. You don't really, it says, look, a survivor. So you don't really need a months earlier, years earlier kind of thing, because even though I don't know why sometimes that works, sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Jumping back in time, sometimes you need a months earlier, years earlier, another place, and another time. Sometimes you don't. This, I don't know why. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If any artists want to chime in on that, please let me know, because I think I've tried all kinds of different ways of doing flashbacks, and just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So this is very odd here. They're chasing somebody or something, and they've bombed a village or something like that, and they're chasing this guy, and he's just barely making it through the woods or whatever. And but they block out the swear words. So isn't this modern Marvel? No Comics Code Authority. They swear, they say the F word on TV. So why are they not on Marvel Comics? Is there an alternate version where the swear words are not blacked out? Please, again, if anybody knows, let me know. But this is basically Wolverine, and I'm pretty sure, and this is them and they're going to shoot him, but then it cuts back to Wolverine falling out of the sky from the airplane, and it's some sort of church or compound or something, and the two soldiers are like, and this looks like somebody from Hydra or something, and they're like, but it's coming at us, and so it's Wolverine. Obviously, he's not hurt. He's somewhat hurt, maybe, I don't know, from his but his healing factor heals him up a good. I don't know. I kind of wish that they had some sort of explanation like that. Like, it would have been cool if they had the explosion. They show Wolverine, he's all skeletal, and then he's like, all of his skin and stuff grows back in like an instant, and that would kind of show, although then you couldn't show his costume. But then he just starts attacking the compound people. We don't know who these people are that he's attacking. He says he's pieced together from corpses of soldiers who died in combat. He says he can't die. They blow him up, stab him, shoot him. He always comes back, same as before. So, I mean, it's just Wolverine. And I kind of wish they had shown that, which would have been cool. But instead, they go for this, out of the shadows comes this Wolverine, and with his claws, and he's already killed a bunch of people. And they have this awesome Greg Hildebrandt tribute. Greg Hildebrandt, 39 to 24. He was kind of an older dude, but he was a beautiful artist. I love his colors. His colors are so vibrant and beautiful. He almost was an Alex Ross before Alex Ross, in a more of a fantastic flair. And he was just a great artist. And I'm heartened to see that they do this. They've done this with so many really great artists. Really, if there's a great artist and they pass away, then Marvel usually pays tribute to them, which is really great. So you have Mystique and Nightcrawler. The thing about this new universe is you don't know who's on the good side, who's on the bad side. It says the Eurasian Republic ruled with an iron fist by Colossus, Magic, and Omega Red, and they're the mutants. So are these two part of the mutant thing? Because their Directorate X is the Eurasian Republic is where the mutants are free to be whoever they are. But she is going to shoot at whoever's coming at them. They know who it is, and Nightcrawler is obviously scared about it. And then there's another flashback, and this is that same character, obviously Wolverine, who had been taken from the forest and turned into, he'd been given his adamantium, this is basically how he gets his adamantium. So it's these four characters. I don't know who this is, Doctor somebody. So they give Wolverine his adamantium claws. They discuss how they tried to do it before, but it didn't work. And so they're going to try it again. They say there's a difference because he's more feral and more tries harder to survive than their other subjects did. And so they're just trying to do make him into a Weapon X kind of thing, and which he does this little X thing on his crystal cell thing. So flashes forward again. Wolverine is at the compound. He's coming after Mystique. He's coming after Nightcrawler. They must have been in on what Colossus and Bilyana were doing. So he just kind of attacks them, and he attacks the compound using his claws. He's like slashing and slicing and dicing and doing all of the things that he's the best at. I guess, I don't know. I like this action sequence. It's very visceral. It's very, has a lot of movement. I actually like this. It's got a nice, good beginning panel. It shows Wolverine very clearly and him attacking. I kind of wish the pose was a little bit more him looking at the camera and having his claws come at you. But then it kind of shows the action. So I always say when there's an action scene, you should have the build up, you should have the beginning of the middle of the action, and you should have the follow through, which he kind of does. And so I kind of like that, but at the same time, it's a little bit unclear. One of the great things about probably my favorite action artist is Frank Miller, and he really doesn't. He shows you everything. That's one of the reasons that he was so great is he doesn't use a lot of foreshortening. He does sometimes, obviously, and it's not all about the movement of the characters moving towards the camera. It's a little bit more of the fluidity of the action and being able to see exactly what's going on. So you lose a little bit of that clarity when you're doing it like this, where you're just kind of showing the after effects of what's happening and stuff like that. But I mean, it's good. This person gets their face slaughtered by Wolverine's claws. So it's a good action scene. I do like it. I just think it could have either gone on for a little bit longer or been maybe a little bit clearer. But I do like it. Those are just kind of nitpicky things. So then Wolverine comes upon Mystique, and he gives a sniff, and there's Colossus. So you're like, hey, it's Mystique, but then she turns into Colossus, and he sniffs again. So he realizes that it's Mystique and not Colossus, which doesn't really make any sense why that would change things. But she's got like a scaredness in her eyes, that's one of the good things about this writer and artist team. They've actually done really good job at this kind of thing. And there's a panel later on that I really enjoy. But she's scared. Wolverine comes at Colossus / Mystique, and she tries to fight back as much as she can. She uses this machine gun to try to blast him in half. But he is Wolverine, and he's too fast, and he slices her throat. And that's one of the great things. This is one of the great things about this comic, is that it's very visceral, but it shows it, but they can't have swear words. So that's very odd. I love this transition from Mystique to Colossus, or from Colossus to Mystique, rather. And with the sliced throat, you don't know if she's dead, so she still could be alive. But Wolverine is pretty sure that she is dead. It is a pile of she's in a pile of blood, and he just kind of takes off. So then he goes after Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler is, like I said, obviously scared. But then it cuts back to the scene of them giving him his adamantium, and apparently anybody can have adamantium in this world. I don't understand the reason for the mask. Eventually, I'm sure that they will unmask him, but the reason, I guess, for the mask, symbolically, is that they're making him the Winter Soldier. So the bad guys, the Russians, I don't think they're the Russians though, but whoever it is, but it is, because this is where the confusing part happens, because you see earlier on that it's obviously Colossus and Magic and Omega Red turning Wolverine into giving him his adamantium. Oh, all right. But then he gets away. He gets away from them, and then he doesn't get away from them. They are turning him into their Winter Soldier. So it has connections to the Russian part, the Colossus and Magic thing. They're Russian, and so the whole Eurasian Republic kind of thing. So it does make sense that they are. It's kind of twisting it, and they're like the Russians that are creating the Winter Soldier, and the Winter Soldier has the adamantium. So it's kind of all coming together in a alternate, different timeline kind of thing. Kurt, though, I don't understand. He's talking to Wolverine like he's his friend, and he doesn't want to fight him, and all of this stuff. It's Kurt. I beg you, please. I do not want to fight you. So were they friends before this? Before when before he was captured and turned into Weapon X or the Winter Soldier, did Kurt and Logan have this relationship beforehand? Maybe before he escaped from the facility or something. But even then, it was torturous. Obviously, it was torturous, and so I don't know why Kurt would ever think that they're friends unless they did have some kind of connection, and he's just now brainwashed into just killing anything that the Winter Soldier is told. Anybody know anything more about this storyline? Let me know, because that's a little bit confusing for me. I just don't understand. This is a really cool scene. Nightcrawler kind of shows off his chops and grabs a machine gun, and he teleports. He does this thing that really probably one of the greatest action scenes in all of the X-Men movies is Nightcrawler going into the Oval Office and using that dagger and stuff like that. He was just like bamfing everywhere, and they were trying to shoot him. But he was, unlike the comic books, where I think Claremont knew that his teleportation was too overpowered, so he kind of gave him this weakness that he could only do it so many times in a row, and it took a lot out of him. But this new Nightcrawler, he can just do it whenever he wants, and it doesn't take anything out of him, and he's just shooting everywhere with his machine gun. And but Wolverine uses his extra senses and slices Nightcrawler and dices him, and again he's like, we're friends. I'm sorry you did this. I don't know what is going on. If you're in there, my friend, I pray you have the strength. I'm sorry we weren't quick enough. We came back. We came back for you. We would always come back for. So I don't know. I think that these guys are not. All right. I think what happened was they did have a relationship before he was captured by Colossus, and but no, that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, because Mystique turns into Colossus, and so this is the Colossus compound and Mystique compound, unless she's, I don't know, unless she turns into who she thinks Colossus is. I'm a little bit confused. I'm a little bit confused on who really is the bad guys, and is Nightcrawler a bad guy, and is he or is he a good guy? And did they have a group before of X-Men or whatever before Wolverine was turned into Weapon X, or the Winter Soldier rather? He's done killing everybody, and he's just kind of walking out. And I don't know if he was told to do this, which I guess I assume that he was, by whoever turned him into it. All right, so here we have this page. Maybe I missed something. They're dirty. They are cowards. All right, so this is them turning him into the Winter Soldier, and they're dirty. They are cowards. They are wrong. But we have one thing in common: we both know how to fight. Difference is we know how to win. Look at these two. Escaped 2 years ago from the East Berlin camp. Okay, so these are people that knew Wolverine beforehand, and they have nothing to do with Colossus and magic, I don't think. They could have been part of the solution, like you, part of history, given themselves their bodies, their abilities to the Republic. Instead, they are running away, but not you. You are a fighter. So they send Wolverine to kill Mystique and Nightcrawler, who has nothing to do with Colossus and magic. And I that is kind of what confused me, because she turns into Colossus. Why turn into somebody who, I don't know, maybe she thought that he was going to be, maybe she thought that Colossus is his like leader or whatever, and that he would not attack Colossus because he's the leader. Maybe that's something that just kind of confused me a little bit. But then it kind of just ends, and he's on the plane flying back home, and he takes his mask off, and he just kind of sniffs all of the blood, and there's like this little prayer thing that Nightcrawler did beforehand when he was fighting Wolverine, and he just kind of remembers it. And at the end is this little thing on Nightcrawler is like a prayer for Wolverine or something like that. I'm not completely sure. I think it's supposed to say something about their character and who they are and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure what this really meant, and I might have to read it again and try to figure it out. So there we go. They were good guys. Nightcrawler and Mystique were good guys, and the Winter Soldier was sent in there to kill him, and he did. And there's a lot to be said about the quality of the art and the writing, and the writing is really good. It's simple. There's not a whole lot of dialogue. The characters don't really have any kind of distinct personality, but I mean, they're not really supposed to either. I love this art. It's the color, the combination of the color and the line work, but there's no inker, so it's just the artist, this Alessandro Cappuccino, who did the pencils and the inks, but it's the color that really makes everything pop. And I do love the penciling and the inks. There's a lot of momentum, a lot of movement, a lot of it's just really dynamic and everything. And it tells a story. The narrative art is really nice. I didn't really have to go back and look at things because of the art, maybe because of the story, and I didn't understand where the characters are doing and stuff like that. But that's probably a little bit of my not reading enough into what was happening. This really threw me off. Mystique turning into Colossus really threw me off, and I don't really understand why they did that, other than she was trying to show that it was the leader, and maybe that would have stopped him from attacking. But I don't know. That was just a little bit too confusing for me. But I enjoyed the action sequences, and I enjoyed the story overall, even though there really wasn't a huge amount to it. It was just kind of a fight scene. Comic had a lot of fight scenes, and not a whole lot of story. But it makes Wolverine mysterious again, and that is a big draw for him. It always has been, and so it was a good book. So Ultimate Wolverine, I would say it is a good book. I'm gonna have to really think long and hard if I want to spend another. This was $6, and that's just crazy. $6. That's just nuts for a standard comic book with that's not even a prestige. I know things are more expensive now than the 80s and 90s or whatever, but $6 for a comic book is just crazy, and I'm probably not going to do it. Even if it's $5, $4.99, I still probably am not going to get number 2. So I'll check something else out. But anyway, let me know if you guys have read it and what you think about the art and the writing. One thing I didn't mention was the cover. I really love the cover. I saw all of the different covers, and I love this painting Wolverine. There's not too much. It's just really kind of in your face. And I love the expression on his face, and the painting is really beautiful, and I just love it. One other thing, though, I was looking at this, and I was wondering if it was AI created. The time that Marvel and or DC start using AI, if there's an artist that uses AI, I'm never going to get their stuff. If there's a company that uses it almost as a standard practice, I'm going to say if they condone or have one artist, in their stable that uses AI, I'm not going to buy any more of their books, no matter what. So I guess we could have a whole discussion on AI and what you guys think about it, but I'm never going to participate in helping AI artists, or I use that term loosely, AI artists, and I'm never going to help them in their careers. But anyway, that's another topic for another time. Let me know what you guys think about this book, and let me know if you think I should get the second issue, just to kind of let you guys see what's what. And if you're totally not into the new comics, let me know that too. So if you're new to the channel, I do indie comics. I review indie comics. I review new comics. And the new weekly segment we have on Wednesday, me and Joseph Leonardo. We're going to be reviewing older stuff and newer stuff and movies and music and comic books. And so check that out. It's a live stream. It's going to be on Wednesdays between 2 and 3. So it should be a lot of fun. We did our first episode last Wednesday, and you can check that out. So thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing and all that stuff. So I'm pretty much at the end of my rope here. So thanks for watching, and have a great weekend. And as always, keep on creating.